Welcome to the Scuffle Show. Tatiana and I are on our way in separate cars to save Buster from his own picks. Hopefully we get there in time. But if we don't, he'll be in his room commiserating with himself.
If you bet against me, you'll probably make money. I think that's like in the last couple weeks, if you've bet against me every week, you would have made a lot of money. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that.
Last week in the first fight, we had Alex Cowboy Oliveira, or as Buster would say, Alex Oliveira, fighting Nico Price. Buster skipped the lack of pronunciation and went with Cowboy.
Oh, okay.
Tatiana and I had Nico. It was a tough fight. But in that one, Tatiana's win streak went to what? Was it 14? Was it 14 in a row? Were you at 13 last week?
I don't know, but I really messed up picking Walker. I'll say that. My gut was with Walker or with Santos, and I went with Walker anyway.
Wow.
Well, let's not ruin the magic of your 14th win in a row. You started off fast.
And now I have to see him every day at PT. So it's made it really awkward, guys. It's really awkward.
Does he know you picked against him?
I hope not.
Without hesitation, I might add.
I hope he just didn't understand the podcast is in English. I'm just going to go with that.
Well, while we're going all over the place, I am perfectly fine skipping ahead to the main event from last week, Santos and Walker. Let's go to the scorecards. Tatiana has already admitted she had Johnny Walker. Buster most likely has no idea who he picked last week. He also had Johnny Walker. And then there was one person who believed Thiago Santos.
Who believed?
One person who was admired perseverance and said, I think Santos can do this. And I had that one. Boy.
It's a great way to put it.
I think with Nico and Santos, I was 2-0. I've taken Tatiana's place among the undefeated. Tatiana's win streak came to a crashing halt at 14, which is still an incredible streak.
It's a great run, honestly, commendable. Yeah.
15 came with a big prize, but 14 was close. And then on the second fight, Holland and Daukaus was a no contest. So that one, we none of us won. There were no winners in that fight.
I think that was a good call.
Yeah, he was definitely out.
I knew he was out when it happened. I was sitting cage side, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, he just got knocked out by a headbutt." And then all of a sudden, the guy was like, "Oh my God!" It was just like, it was terrible. I was like, "Wait, what?" And then all of a sudden, the guy's like choking him. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is a nightmare." And then he choked him, and I was just like, "This is all bad. This is all bad."
Why is there a rule for accidental headbutts? Like, why? There's so many things that could happen when fighters collide. There's so many injuries that could happen accidentally. Why is it not just, hey, an intentional headbutt is illegal, but anything else is fine? Is it just because they'd be hard to draw the line between, is basically like no headbutts?
The reason I think this is because it's gonna stop fighters from leading with their head, because a lot of, even boxers do it, right? They lead with their head sometimes and they hit each other in the head, and it could change the outcome of a fight. Yeah, it's accidental, but it's still, you can't expect a fighter just to be like, oh yeah, to keep going if they're leading. Like, some people could do it on purpose, like lead with their head on purpose. Yeah, you could say it's accidental, but some fighters, it will how would you say, encourage them not to lead with their head, maybe, so everything's fair for everybody. Because I know in boxing, it's very common that boxers do that with their head.
Yeah, no, that argument makes sense. I hadn't thought of that. I was just thinking to myself, like, how weird. They're in a cage fighting and they accidentally hit heads together. I was thinking an accident was more like, you step on someone's foot, you roll your ankle. But I guess that's your point. Like, accidental headbutt, you could put your head in a position where you'd say, "Oh, sorry, it was an accident," but it could help you. It'd be hard to put your foot under someone's foot and let them twist their ankle. So I guess it's like it's like the eye poke, right? It's like keeping your hand. The eye poke and the headbutt are pretty similar, I guess. Just trying to discourage.
Absolutely. Like it could be on accident, or like the nut shots. Like it could be on accident, but you did it, and that's your responsibility as a fighter, right? To not do those things. It's goals. So I mean,
it's always felt to me like the nut shot has very minimal downside. Like the punishment doesn't seem to fit the crime very often. Like it's just like, you know what? If you're in trouble, you need a break. Kick the guy in the nuts, and you're gonna get 5 minutes. He's gonna get 5 minutes, and you're gonna get a warning.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I could kick the girl in the nuts, but she doesn't have them. So I mean, I need a break.
That does seem like a sneaky, strategic move. So you get 5 minutes for a nut shot.
Yeah. Well, Derek Lewis somehow like he admitted to doing it on purpose in one of his interviews, right?
Yeah, was it because he was tired? Or
he did that?
I think so. I don't remember if it was because the other person did it to him first, or if he just needed a break. But it was.
He said he needed a break or something. He was tired, so he kicked the guy in the nuts.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's terrible.
That's crazy because there's also all this peer. There's all this peer pressure.
I don't know if he was joking, but
I feel like that's not something you would make up. Like it doesn't make him sound cooler.
You never know with Derek Lewis.
Yeah, I think it might be my go-to move if I was stuck in the cage, because it helps you. You get a break. It puts your opponent at a disadvantage, and there's so much peer pressure on the other fighter to not take the full 5 minutes because the crowd starts getting restless, that the guy who got kicked in the nuts is almost like the crowd is mad at him for stopping the fight. You know, so it's a really every time it happens, it's a weird situation to watch. It's just like, there's no, it doesn't seem fair.
So somehow I somehow got stuck behind these guys, and they were all drunk. And I don't remember what fight it was, but they were like, I guess someone got kicked in the nuts, and then they were like, or maybe, poked in the eye or something. And the guy's like, he stopped or whatever, and they're like, because they were going for that guy. They're like, take 5 minutes. And he's like, if he kicks you in the nuts, take 10. And I was just sitting there like, what is going on?
Hey, at least it's better than Mike Tyson biting somebody's ear off. I mean, that's probably the ultimate worst best move to get a little bit of time.
True. I think the eye poke is the only thing worse. The eye poke is worse because the person on the receiving end is just screwed, and it's the same thing. Like, can you see? And it's like, I've done this working, I've done all this.
I don't think anybody's ever done an intentional eye poke.
Really?
Like, I don't think so. I feel like if they did it, it was on accident. Like, I definitely feel like maybe a net shot. Like,
an eye poke is such a deliberate physical move. It'd be really hard to make it look like it was incredible.
Exactly. I'd be like, oops, my bad.
But what's natural? What's natural? To keep your hand, your fingers slightly bent, or keep your fingers. Because sometimes it feels like they have them straight.
Yeah, well, like you're supposed to go this way, even when you're. But some people go like this, straight, and then people run into it, and bam.
Yeah, that always seems like.
And it makes sense to not be able to do that, because then people can't go forward.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense. Like it makes sense to make it a rule that you can't do that, because then it deters people from going forward, because now they're running into people's fingers.
Yeah.
Right.
But I feel like when the fingers are kind of straight, I can never figure out if that person is like not trying to poke them in the eye, but perfectly okay with the scenario that their finger might run into the eye, or if they're just not even thinking, it's just their hands are at angles and it's just too much to figure out.
Yeah.
Buster, we got a lot of feedback on you against Nick Diaz, and it was not good for you. The consensus on Twitter was that you were going to get smashed in slow motion. It was more just like
I beg to differ about the slow motion part, although he does punch pretty slow. So maybe they have a point there. I don't necessarily disagree with them, but I think I do better than they'd expect. We have a few picks to make this week. Obviously, the Wilder versus Fury fight. We'll do that last, but
and while Buster's pulling this up, let's just recap just in case anyone missed the beginning of the show. Last week's results. I was 2-0. Buster and Tatiana were 1-1. So I just wanted to repeat that as many times as possible during this episode.
I started at the top, and I'm gonna finish at the top. In whatever we decide season 1 is, but I'm not at the top right now. So. Anyways, we have two UFC card picks. We have 2 UFC card picks, Mackenzie Dern and Marina Rodriguez. And then what was the second fight we wanted to do? Randy Brown versus Jared Gooden.
Yeah, let's start with that one. Then we'll go Dern Rodriguez, and then we'll go Wilder Fury.
Is that the co-main or something?
Co-main, yeah.
Yeah. Randy Brown versus Jared Gooden. Randy Brown is 13-4. Jared Gooden is 18-6. Brown is 31. Gooden's a few years younger, 27. Brown is 6'2".
Gooden is 27.
Correct.
This one's just going to test. It's just pure intuition, right? We're just going to go on a hunch.
What weight is this?
They're 170.
Welterweights.
I'll go first, so my pick isn't chosen for me. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Randy Brown in this one.
Me too.
Wait a minute, that's where I was going too.
Well, Nick, all right. You picked last, so that means you have to go the other way.
There's your pick, I guess.
You got to get your pick out quick.
Tatiana, rock, paper, scissors for Gooden. Whoever wins. Whoever wins gets Gooden.
I don't want that. I don't want to.
All right, I'll get Gooden.
There we go. There we go.
I'll keep the streak alive.
The co-main event at strawweight, 100.
This is the main event.
Oh, the main event at strawweight, 115 pounds. Mackenzie Dern versus Marina Rodriguez.
What did you say?
Hurry up, Nick. Pick. Hurry up. I picked Mackenzie.
I got Mackenzie.
Sure, you got Marina Rodriguez.
I didn't even have a chance to speak, and my pick was already chosen. I'm taking Rodriguez.
Oh my God! This is how we are every week with the picks.
All right, now we got the heavyweight title. Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder.
This is gonna be. I'm really excited to watch this fight.
Yeah.
I have Tyson Fury.
I'm about to make the same mistake I made last time they fought. But I think I learned my lesson. I think I learned my lesson with the British fighting at the UFC with Paddy the Baddy and Molly and Darren Till. I'm going to go with Tyson Fury also. Buster, who you got?
I'm more than happy to take Wilder. So
last time I picked Wilder, and then as soon as the fight started, I was like, Tyson Fury is so much better. But I still feel like Wilder could do this.
What, he knocked down Fury 3 times in the last fight?
No, the first fight. Last fight he got clipped behind the ear and his equilibrium was off, so it never actually got to see fully what he could do. So I was torn on this one. I think I was going to offer to go last because I figured I'd be happy with either guy.
Yeah, I'm happy with Wilder.
You guys were so competitive with these picks that I felt like I should speak second before.
I'm pumped with.
I was tricked.
I'm putting them up right here on the wall. So there they are.
That's weird. I thought that was a shelf on top. I didn't realize it was flat. It's like an optical illusion.
It's flat. Got my picks in the background now for the rest of the show.
Any good PT stories this week? Any new painful methods or any progress? Any big milestones?
Well, I'm just doing a lot more strengthening. I can walk a lot better, so that's always great. But yeah, now I'm doing balancing, catching the thing, balancing on one leg, catching the little thing. It's fun. But yeah, nothing too crazy. Just strengthening the muscles around my leg or around my knee, so that I could be strong and fit when I get back.
What happens to the muscles?
I
Like what
can't
what
wait.
percent?
I just get what?
No, sorry, I didn't mean I was gonna say what percent of like strength goes away during something like this, like in one leg from the other leg?
Well, considering that, well, one, there's trauma because you're getting a surgery, right? So there's trauma, like the nerves are messed up, especially because you have cuts, right? So anytime you're getting cut, there's trauma to that area. Also, like your brain wants to protect it from getting injured again, so it does this thing where it won't let it do certain things. And then so it's just like reprogramming the brain and the body together again. And then for me, because I was off my leg for around 8 weeks, completely off of it, no weight bearing at all. I did lose a lot of muscle. So yeah, but it's starting to come back. It's starting to look more like a knee, so I'm excited about it. But at first it was like really, really skinny and scary. I was like, oh my gosh, a noodle leg. It was weird.
I'm glad it's coming back.
So this is an interesting headline, and I'm curious your guys' thoughts. The president of ABC slammed bare knuckle boxing because a fighter recently died, and just said that this has to stop immediately. What do you guys think about that?
Tragic. The guy, he was in a coma for a long time, right? Or induced coma, or on a ventilator for a long time.
I don't think it has anything to do with the boxing itself. I just think like I watched the video of the guy when he got knocked out, and it looked to me like the way he fell is the reason why he ended up getting a spinal injury, because he actually died from a spinal injury, not from a knockout, right? Yeah. So the way he fell, he kind of fell like on the top, like almost like kind of the top, so it probably hurt his spine, and then that's when he got the spinal injury or whatever. But I don't think it has anything to do whether they wear gloves or not. So I mean, I don't see it as that. I don't think it has anything to do, because there's been boxers who have been knocked out in the ring, who have died, right? And then just recently, that young girl died. She was a boxer. She got knocked out, and that's with gloves. So I mean, you're gonna say to ban a sport just because it's a little bit different than the other sports? I don't think so. I think it's just a freak accident, just like any other sport, right? You take that risk anytime you're in a combat sport.
Yeah, I think Dana White said that. Dana White had a kind of a weird response to it, because he said, what did you expect? Like in bare knuckle boxing, he said, in UFC, we test the fighters, we do more testing beforehand, which I felt like this was probably something, I had the same thought. This was something that was unavoidable if you're going to take on the risk of, of fighting. Like you might land in an awkward position. So I was confused by his comment. I didn't know if he was implying, oh, this guy had a pre-existing condition, that this fight would have never happened in the UFC, but it was either way, it was a tragic thing, and I guess a reminder of what everyone risks when they, when you do something dangerous.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know their policies, and I don't really know how like professional they are. I know, like I fought in like certain organizations prior to the UFC that you could hop in there, you could they would literally ask people who were on drugs on the street to come fight people in organizations that I've seen. Like,
oh my God.
Like, so it's kind of like, I don't know how professional this organization is. I'm not part of it. I've never fought for them, so I wouldn't know. But it seems to me like he maybe has the inside scoop of how professional or not professional they are. I have no idea, but I would hope that they would test the fighters prior to, their fights, because I mean, there's like things that can be avoided. Like I've heard some crazy stories about certain fighters who got tested prior to the fight, they didn't get cleared, and it saved their life. So, you know, I think it needs to be done. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
for
you
the-
you hope that they're doing what they can. You know, people make the
Right.
arguments and points about they say that about the NFL because of how many
Right.
NFL players get CTA, and then that affects them doing wild
Right.
stuff,
Right.
and whatnot. So
Right.
these comments are not the first, and definitely won't be the last. You just hope that, you know, whatever,
No.
you know, association this is, are doing, you know, what they can to a certain extent. Last point, and I imagine last thing, topic, Jake Paul temporarily, somehow he makes it into every episode, temporarily retires from boxing. I don't understand why everybody doesn't pull this move. The only thing retired means is he's waiting for his next fight. This is like a classic Floyd Mayweather move towards the end of his career. But you after a match, you say you're retired, and then right before your next one, you say you're unretired, and you just keep doing it over and over and over again, because somehow it makes the headlines every single time.
That's what Conor does.
Yeah, I think he's definitely taking the Conor playbook, who took the Floyd playbook. Although I thought I read that Jake Paul is trying to set up a fight with Mayweather, which I thought was like.
I heard he
more
was trying to fight
yeah.
the other guy, the other Fury dude.
Oh, Tommy Fury, the son. Yeah.
That was
I feel like Mayweather, after his brother fought Mayweather, I don't really want to see him fight Mayweather. Like, I feel like, hey, one of you guys has already done that. We don't need to see it again.
I'd rather see him fight Conor when he's better.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, that's a while.
Yeah.
I don't think he can stay. I don't think he'd be willing to stay out of the limelight that long. I think he needs attention faster than that.
No, but that fight's gonna happen at some point. There's too much money there. I mean, it's a huge fight.
It's almost like you work at ESPN, Buster. I've been told that at ESPN, you like at times you're given a list of topics that you have to pull into every story. I feel like LeBron. yeah. Like you have to mention, like if you're going to talk about basketball, you have to find a way to tie LeBron in because that'll get the highest ratings and stuff like that. So I feel like you're on a mission. Either that or you're a matchmaker.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of the Scuffle Show. Make sure you're subscribed, following us on social, and stay locked in for next week's episode of the Scuffle Show. Enjoy this fights weekend, and we'll see you next time.